Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and cover my top 10 niche fragrances or longest lasting niche fragrances. Last week I did a top 10 longest lasting designer fragrances and I broke it up based on designer and based on niche. The reason why I did that was because generally the quality and the amount of ingredients that are used between the two usually differ, and you also have a lot of people who are constantly just wanting, okay, just give me the designer fragrances or just give me the longest lasting niche fragrances. So rather than combine the two and eventually have to do one, I just decided to skip right to the punch. Okay, so a couple of ground rules right before I actually start on this. The first one is this is a list of fragrances that I own. I own over 300 fragrances, quite a few, quite extensive, and I really just narrowed down the list of fragrances that I own. So what does this mean? You probably can find other longer lasting fragrances. You may find other stuff that's longer lasting, and it's not on my list. So I know a lot of fragrances actually off the top of my head that may last a little bit longer than some of these that are on this list. But again, for purposes, these are just fragrances that I own. All right. The second thing is these are fragrances that perform on my skin, nobody else's skin, my skin. I'm telling you what my success rate is for these niche fragrances. So generally that means, if somebody says fragrance X will last longer than fragrance Y, well, no, this is my skin. These are how long they last on my skin. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and one more. And the third thing is this isn't a list based on my like. This is strictly longest lasting and not necessarily based on my like. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Coming in at number 10, we have from the house of Kilian, and it is, let me go ahead and put this one, it is Cruel Intentions is the fragrance. Cruel Intentions, for some reason, it lasts a long time on my skin. By long, I'm talking about anywhere between 16 and I don't want to say 24, like 16 and 20 hours. So it lasts a long time. It'll last you definitely most of the waking day at least. And on my skin, it just performs like that. It's like a woody type of a scent. It's really unique, really attracts a lot of attention for it. But at number 10, we have by Kilian's Cruel Intentions. At number 9, we have one from the house of Christian Dior. It is Amber Nuit. Sorry, probably can't read the label there. Amber Nuit. Now, or Amber Nuit. This one, Amber Nights basically. This one lasts on my skin about 20 hours or so. And the really good thing about this is as it kind of turns in past the 10-hour mark, it starts to leave a very nice, soft, masculine type of a scent that I really enjoy and I think is really excellent for it. Again, about 20 hours of performance is what I get out of this one, and it does have that performance. Now, towards the end of the fragrance, it starts to wane a little bit, so people may have trouble smelling you until they get actually up close to you. All right, Amber Nuit. At number 8, we have a Creed. A house that is known for not being able to have fragrances that last, that usually generally disappear on people's skin. But this one is one of the few exceptions that really has staying power. It may have something to do with how much I spray it too, but Creed's Aventus. Aventus on my skin lasts a solid 24 hours. There is no ifs, ands, or rounds about it. I spray it, it lasts the day, I go to sleep, wake up. If I haven't taken a shower, I'll still smell it on me, but that's about it. At that point, it's kind of almost gone off my skin, but you can still smell remnants about it. The tricky one with this is your nose will get used to it. So you may think it's gone, but it's not. And worse, people will smell you around even when you think it's gone. So this has potential to even last even more than 24 hours. Trust me, people will think you still smell like Aventus. You just may not be able to smell it. It's basically easily causes olfactory fatigue, or basically gets your nose really used to it really quick. So don't be fooled by this one. Give it a try in terms of longevity, Aventus. Number 7, we have something from the house of Bond, and that is Bond number 9's New Harlem. Now, New Harlem is a syrupy type of a, pancake breakfast type of a fragrance. It smells very similar to MJ Legend for some of you who are more familiar with that, or Rojas Man. That said, this one lasts me easily over 24 hours, number 1. The one thing that I kind of find a little bit off-putting with this now is that it remains kind of sickly sweet to it. So it just really is tough for me to remain smelling that sweet for that long. So but with that, it does last. All right, on number 9 is New Harlem. Next on my list, at number 6, we have Serge Lutin's Chergui. Chergui is one that lasts me about, I want to say, 30 hours, 34 hours type area. And what's really beautiful about Chergui is it smells a little bit different than when you spray it after it's been on your skin for a long time. It's another fragrance that becomes very soft, very warm, very unique on that aspect. There's not many fragrances. There are fragrances that smell sort of similar to it, but are definitely not the same smelling as Chergui. So if you're looking for another one, again, it's another one that's a little bit on the darker side, Chergui. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. At number 5, we have my personal favorite, and that is Maurice Roussel's Musc Ravageur. Musc Ravageur, another fragrance that is notorious for changing. Starts off with heavy cloves, a little bit of cinnamon, and it really changes down and dries down to like a vanilla, cinnamony, warm. You still get a little bit of the cloves in the background type of a vibe to it. This one easily 30 plus hours. Around, I want to say at maximum, it's almost lasted 2 days on me. But then it was a little bit waning towards that point. But either way, Musc Ravageur, number 5. Number 4, from the house of Tom Ford. Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. Tobacco Vanille is a 2-dayer. Tobacco Vanille, once you spray it on, especially if it hits your clothes, it's going to stay on for that long. Again, not many people will ever have to go that long for wearing a fragrance, but just one to keep of note. If you're planning on having a long day, a really extended day, maybe overnighters, take a look at Tobacco Vanille. Heavy tobacco, heavy vanilla, exactly what the name is, tobacco and vanilla. Tobacco Vanille. Number 3, from the house of Nasomato, Black Afghano. Black Afghano is, they give you a little bit, and it makes sense, at least with this, because just one spray is enough to last you well over, I want to say, 2+ days. Now, the reason, I may have actually cheated, and you may actually can put this at number 1 just because of just the sheer amount of power from one spray. If I were to apply, for example, the same amount of Aventus or same amount of Black Afghano that I do Aventus, this stuff would never come off. People as I walk down the street would want to kill me and shoot me. So, for a per spray basis, I would put this at number 1. But for longevity purposes, again, this comes in at number 3. At number 2, from the house of Guerlain, Spiritu Double Vanille. This one, vanilla. Vanilla extract is what it smells like. A very boozy vanilla. And this one, again, 2+ days. Easily. This one is actually kind of tricky too. If I spray it and apply it to my body, this is one that'll leave a scent trail in the room that I sprayed it in. So if somebody's coming back to my room about 8 hours later, back to my apartment, they'll smell this in the air and they'll ask if I had just sprayed this. That's how powerful Double Vanille is. It leaves its trail, and it's going to stick on your clothes too. At number 1, we have a fragrance that dwarfs every single other fragrance in terms of longevity. It was introduced to me by a fellow reviewer, Atta, for those of you, I think his YouTube call sign is Partisan, maybe something of that list. But either way, he introduced this one to me. This one, most of the fragrances from this line are pretty powerful, but this one is just really off the charts. We have Montal's Red Oud. Now, Red Oud, when I say that it lasted 3 months, I shit you not. I remember, so what happened was, I sprayed it on my body, put 2 or 3 sprays on my body, and longevity-wise, that alone lasted me well over a day and was, going into the 2, 3, 4 day mark, basically. I mean, obviously I took a shower before then, but my point is it was still very strong by the time that I took a shower. And testing-wise, I was like, okay, cool. So what I ended up doing was, did my thing, threw my clothes on the ground, whatever. I happened to come across the t-shirt that I was wearing with this fragrance at the time. And I remember I was, throwing some stuff in the laundry and found the shirt. And the only reason I knew that I came across the shirt was because I picked up the shirt, and as I was moving, I got a huge whiff of Montal's Red Oud, right? I was like, whoa, how can this be? So what I ended up doing was I ended up spraying it on one portion of my skin and kept that portion separate. So I actually did not shower with that portion. And this lasted well over 5 days. So, this will leave, trails on your indefinitely, basically, on your clothes, be there for months, and on your skin, this will last days and days and days. Montal's Red Oud, at least on my skin, is that powerful. All right? Let me know what your longest lasting niche fragrances are. I'm always curious to hear what other people's, I want to say, sorry with the ums, but I'm always curious to hear of what other people's opinions are on how these fragrances actually perform. With more knowledge, we all can kind of help each other out and get better acclimated at this, all right? So again, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.